covering the political coverage.
Yes.
Can you speak on any recent incident and how did you go about it?
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. It's true. As I had mentioned earlier, we had a scenario where we were witnessing a lot of political ups and downs within Meru County, and I can remember we had two cases that had been reported where journalists had had a scuffle with some members from the security agencies. And actually, based on the good working relation that we had established with the police force within not some squeezing the service, police service within Meru County, we were able actually to reach out, and we were able to handle that matter very amicably. And that's why it goes back to my rallying call at the beginning, where we need to really establish that cordial working relation. And you see, cordial working relation doesn't mean that we are friends and ati sasa hatutaweza kufanya kazi kwa uadilifu ama professionally. No. It means that you are able to respect each other's roles. And that's why whenever we are doing capacity building forums, even for journalists, and we are training, we are building their capacities on when they go to the field. How do you report even in the field? Because sometimes you will hear, and when we are having these discussions, some of the police leaders, our police bosses will say, but sometimes your journalists are the ones that actually provoke us. Because, and that's why we normally urge journalists, whenever you're going to the field, it's very courteous of you to actually just ask the police, excuse me, I am actually doing this reporting, I'm actually doing this. It's a matter of, I respect your trade, you respect my trade. Okay? But sometimes, and just as a light touch, sometimes you will hear cases, unasikia mwanahabari ameenda kwenye field, anaambia polisi, wewe unanijua wewe uoni TV. Okay? No. Just go there, introduce yourself. Say that I am a journalist. I work with GGV Radio, for example. I am here to do this. It also matters a lot. Okay? Above it all, what will actually help us in actually fostering professionalism in our country is accreditation. Accrediting journalists goes a very long way in ensuring professionalism in practice. Because an accredited journalist will know that I am guided by a code of practice that actually tells me the do's and don'ts in the line of duty, whether I'm in the newsroom or whether I'm out in the field. By having that accreditation, and this is one of the benefits of accreditation, it actually gives you permission to actually access some of these public buildings or public institutions. So, for example, Jacqueline may be following up on a matter in a county government, for example. Having that accreditation and actually showing that you're actually accredited. Because on various forums that we've been having with the county governments, we've been telling them only engage with journalists that are actually accredited by the council. So accreditation will also be a very important aspect in us ensuring that, one, professionalism is maintained, and then two, going a long way in fostering press freedom.
Maybe on top of that, and our dear listeners are following this show keenly, and they would like to know now, you speak about accreditation, and then you've talked about how the council is really working to help. Let me ask you a personal question.
Ask me what
Now, in the, of course, concerning your role, and maybe I put it like this, from the time or since this office, was kind of devolved, you came close to us, what were tuko hapa mashinani. Are you proud of what you have done? And maybe you can tell us from the time you came, how is the practice of journalism in the region? Has it improved? Are there notable changes that you can say actually the council, by the virtue that you brought the office near to us, has played a role in terms of improving?
Hapa ndio wewe unajiuliza HR anasikiza hii saa hizi kama niendelee. Anyway, I can say that we have noted considerable growth, especially in our relations with our different stakeholders. because we are coming from a point of, and you see, when we devolved the offices,
Yes.
the idea of devolution of the offices was to bring our services closer to our stakeholders. When you engage with journalists that were working in yesteryears, they will tell you that for the longest, when they needed services from the council, they had to find ways of going to Nairobi. But then when we brought our devolution, our regional offices down to the common mwananchi,
Yes.
we have noted steady growth. One, in even matters like accreditation of journalists. Two, we have noted another thing is we have been able to improve the working relations with our stakeholders.
Okay.
Because let us also remember that the working of journalism is not in an island.
Yeah.
It's not, we cannot say that our working does not relate with others.
Yeah.
And that's why you will notice that time and again we will have these various stakeholder meetings. Because sometimes people will sit back and say, nilikuona ukikutana na mtu wa Law Society of Kenya.
Yes.
Hiyo mkutano inahusiana aje na wanahabari? But then you tell them, the meeting that we were having aims at improving the relations. Because time and again, our journalists will be in the corridors of justice, where they will engage with different lawyers. For them understanding the working of the legal system, it helps improve their work. Sometimes you'll see us having engagements with Kenya Forest. And then mtu atauliza, what are you doing with Kenya Forest? But you also remember that there are enough stories on things like environment journalism, sustainable development, that can be found working with such offices. So I will say that I am proud of the work that we are doing. I still feel we can be able to do more. Because as we are always saying, so unajua ile kwa report from mtu anaandikiago room for improvement.
Yes.
There is room for improvement.
All right.
In that, we can be able to actually improve the relations. But I am proud of the work that the office is doing in trying to ensure that our services, one, are close to our stakeholders, and two, we are able to actually forge a solid working relation between journalists and the people that they relate to. Because when you go and look at the functions of the Media Council of Kenya, one of the functions in there is actually on advocacy, where we are supposed to be advocating and pushing for better relations between journalists and outsiders. So I can say, yes, we have a very cordial working relation, because you talk to any of these counties that we work with. Mate, Marsabit, Garissa, name it. All these counties, we've been trying to ensure that the journalists in all these counties are able to acquire the relevant services that they need in all these bodies. However, I do mention that there is room for improvement. In that we've noticed there are some counties, aspects like access to information. Journalists are still struggling to access information, whether it's in county government or even in county assemblies. Okay. Time and again we'll hear instances of harassments here and there. However, we still believe that we can be able to actually do more when we work together.
On harassment, before Jacqueline comes in, a quick one. How far does the Media Council respond to threats and violation against journalists? Journalists, up to what extent?
Okay, that's a very good question. And it will premise a lot of discussions that will be there tomorrow. But I'll be able to share on what we do. So whenever an instance has happened, and because we have been able to, out of the regional offices that we have, we now have more contacts to the people down there. I will tell you, for example, at the moment we are handling something where a journalist was arrested in Kitui County yesterday, and we're actually following around that. So basically what we do as an institution, when a matter is reported to us, we immediately reach out. Okay, so one, I will reach out to my contact persons in that said county and get to understand what exactly has happened. In some instances, I will try and see if I can be able to actually reach the journalist to also know where are you and how can we assist. In several instances, it's only, unajua saa zingine wakili, kuna watu huwa wanasema hawafanyi kitu. It's because we do so much. It's only that we don't go around saying, unaona ule aliachiliwa ni mimi nilisema unaona ule no. So sometimes we only do our work sometimes in silence. But then you see in the age we are living where people need to actually be informed. Okay, so in instances where sometimes journalists have been maybe arrested, we will reach out to the police commanders in those said counties. And you see, out of the dialogue meetings that we've been having, we already have a relation. So there have been instances where I will actually call either the county police commander or even the county commissioner and find out whether they've heard that there's a journalist, that this and this has happened. And so many times we are actually able to amicably resolve this. Because sometimes you'll hear the police boss will say, huyu hakujiintroduce, tulimshika na other rioters. Naambia hapana ndugu yangu, huyo ni rafiki yangu, ni mtu wetu, mwachilie. And they actually release. In other instances where a matter now has to go through legal, we have our regulatory department that actually advises. If it's a matter that will now need to go to court, we have the regulatory body that actually handles that. A team of lawyers that actually mandated to do that. Again, and I think it's a very good question that you've posed for me to actually inform the audiences that are listening to us. We have the Media Complaints Commission, a body that is mandated to resolve disputes that come up between members of the public and the media, members of national governments or even county governments with the media, and even political leaders. If they have a matter that they feel aggrieved with, that a journalist has done, the Media Complaints Commission is actually mandated to review that matter. So it's a rallying call again to all the people that are listening to us today and even watching us on the different platforms. If you have a matter that you feel aggrieved by, either a report or even a story that has been done, before you go and make pronouncements in public gatherings that actually now endanger the life of journalists, reach out to the Media Complaints Commission. It's a body that is composed of a team of lawyers and other experts that actually resolve the matters that are related to media work in the country.
Is the political class aware of that?
And that's why maybe they also need to know that the Media Complaints Commission has been set to actually resolve disputes on matters related to media work.
Oh, that is so nice. There's a lot of cases on the rise of untrained, let's call them content creators, who present themselves out here as journalists. What is the action that Media Council of Kenya is taking so as to differentiate between trained journalists and untrained who may not even follow the ethical standards?
Yeah, it's true, and it's actually something that we've been discussing a lot, because you see, with advancements in technology, for the longest we used to have only TV, radio, and newspaper as the only sources of information. But then we have moved on, and with advancements in technology, we now have more platforms where people can actually relay information. And that's what Jacqueline is alluding to, where we have also noticed a rise in citizen journalism, where people that have access to gadgets, have access to phones or even cameras, will go out there and purport to actually be journalists. And that's why it goes back to what I mentioned about accreditation. Accreditation is going to be a very important aspect, because accreditation is the only element that actually now differentiates Wakili, a journalist at GGV Radio, and a guy at Gitimbene mwenye ako na kasimu kazuri ka techno, ana record na anasema hata yeye ni mwanahabari. Now that's the difference. So as an institution, what we are doing at the moment, one is building the capacities of journalists to actually because you see, Wakili usiseme kwamba mimi ni mwanahabari wa radio kwa hivyo sitatumia mitandao ya kijamii. No. We are living in an age where the social media aspect is becoming a very important ingredient in the relay of information. So it's going to be very important for even you as journalists to understand how can we be able to actually tap into these digital platforms to actually become also relevant in the growing world that we are in.
Well, on that question, please help us understand what danger are these digital media and citizen journalism are they posing when it comes to press freedom? What dangers there that we see in terms of press freedom especially? Tukitoka kwa kidogo tu kwa mambo ya kutaka kujifananisha mbali na kujifanya wanahabari. Ni uhuru, wanapotezea vipi wanahabari uhuru?
There has been instances where we have seen citizen journalists, and let's even maybe call them just people that have access to a phone and believe that they can also do news. They do not follow the code by itself. For example, you will see some images that have been shared on platforms, on even Facebook or even WhatsApp. Mtu amepiga picha amezieka pale. Na labda ni picha za an accident. You as a journalist, you know very well that the code stipulates that you should not post images from an accident or such a view. Okay? That by itself already differentiates these two people. And you see, unfortunately, regulation in the social media era has become quite ambiguous. Because unlike in yesteryears, wakili akiwa kwenye radio akiongea tu kitu ambacho si cha ukweli, tutakuja tumwambie wakili umefanya makosa. Saa hizi mtu anaweza kuwa kwa kijiji, kwa kanyumba mahali, bedsitter ama one bedroom mahali, ako tu hapo ana spread information that is actually not true. And that's why also as an institution, through the media information digital literacy forums, we've been trying to build capacities even of citizens to understand what is the difference between a journalist that works in a media house and somebody who has a phone, very quick to take photos. Okay? By them understanding the difference between these two elements, they'll be able to know, actually, this is a professional journalist and this one is one that is not.
Wow. Thank you very much, Sir Karanja, for making time this morning ya kuweza kuzungumza. Najua mambo ya vyombo vya habari na majukumu yako pamoja na majukumu yangu na majukumu ya waandishi wengine na society kwa ujumla ni mengi. Nafikiri kwamba kuna ile code mpya ambayo inatengezwa sasa hivi na baraza na katika hatua zake za mwisho ama ikishafikia mwisho tutatafuta muda ili uje utueleze hata zaidi. Na hapo tutapata time pia ya kuweza kueleza mengi msikilizaji ambayo hatujaweza kuyafanya. But I want to thank all the people that have been in, akina Boni, akina Eliza, akina Nixon, Angaza. There are so many people here. Asante sana kwa kuweza kufuatilia. You said that you are following online, na wale wote ambao mmeweza kufuatilia hapa katika studio. Tunawashukuru. Muda wetu umeweza kukamilikia pale, lakini as we have promised tutakuwa tunaweza kupokea kama ni ujumbe umeweza kutuma and is really something that we can send. I have the contact of Mr. Karanja and I will be able to send him, na yeye ndiye mshirikisha ataweza kulishughulikia mpenzi msikilizaji. And as soon as the code is out, tutaweza kutafuta pia muda ili aweze kutueleza itatuathiri vipi kama jamii na mimi kama mwandishi wa habari. Kwa hivyo mpenzi msikilizaji, allow us to take a short break. Alafu tutaweza kukuletea taarifa za GGV awamu ya saa 3, kisha tutaweza kuingia kwa makala ya Ijumaa, alafu tuweze kurejea hapa kwa ajili ya kuendeleza kipindi hiki The Morning Bless. Thank you for tuning in and may God bless you.